on. The background isn't done. This is the wrong background. Hey, I want to change the background. Goodness gracious. Oops, sorry. Goodness gracious. I saved it, didn't I? Oh my. All right, there you go. There you go. That's better. Okay, so today, good morning from California at 5:10 a.m. I'm on time. And I have things on my hands. I just had an operation, so don't worry if it looks a little funny. I'm wearing herringbone pants too, by the way. So I'm changing my position so that I can, there we go, see a little bit. Sorry about the background being a little slightly off screen, but we will work on that later. Grass soup. We were in grass soup with Zhang Xianliang, where Zhang is like a J, Zhang, Xian like an SH with a smile, Xianliang, Liang, not Li, not Liang, it's Liang, like all one sound, like a vowel diphthong. Okay. Humans are the spirit of all things. You, intellectuals, even more so than others. So you should listen more carefully than anyone. He generally started his lecture to us with this soliloquy. Once, when a convict would not plead guilty and submit to punishment, would not be reformed, he spoke up to us the need for intellectuals to be obedient. Those who are obedient are not intellectuals. Oh, sorry. Oh, God, I do it wrong sometimes. Those who are disobedient are not intellectuals. They don't deserve to be intellectuals. Do you see that tractor over there? He shouted vehemently. A tractor is a lump of steel, and a lump of steel is obedient. This morning at work, that tractor climbed up on the end of the field and then wouldn't budge. A whole group of men were there trying to fix it. It wouldn't move. I told them to step aside, and then I went up and gave it 2 hard kicks. As soon as the men started the motor, it took right away. Now, humans are not like a lump of steel. You can't keep people walking by kicking them all the time. They have to be obedient and walk by themselves. Okay, let me put this up. Hold on. Grass soup. Grass soup. And right here. Okay, on the screen. There we go. All right. Grass soup. Okay. All right. Now, humans are not like a lump of steel. You can't keep people walking by kicking them all the time. They have to be obedient and walk by themselves. They can't be like lazy mules who stop when they're beaten and move backwards when you try to get them to go forward. When your normal leader makes a report, oh, this is, by the way, Morsels of Thought number 1248. Okay. When your normal leader makes a report, I'll say that at the end. His mouth is always stuffed with the classics, the words of Marx and Lenin and Stalin and Mao. By avoiding this and even more by not frightening us with class analysis, the old commissar's talks made intellectuals who had committed crimes feel a new freshness, a rekindled warmth. What was I going to put in here? I was going to put something in here. Grass soup. Okay. Morsels of a thought number 1248. There you go. All right. That's better. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry. People who had been immersed in books all their lives had never run into this kind of simplicity. They had never known peasant talk unadulterated by any theory. His reasoning, derived strictly from a life of farming, made it impossible for intellectuals to refute him from a theoretical point of view. All we could do, each and every one of us, was hang our heads in shame. True, how could humans, the spirit of all things, be disobedient like a lump of steel or like some barnyard animal? We began to see that being obedient, especially obedient to the leaders, should be a prominent characteristic of intellectuals. During these lectures, he would often remind us of the difficult times at the pioneering start of this particular labor reform camp. He would be as casual and friendly as though we were talking about the weather. In those days, just a few years earlier, the land that the camp was now situated on was nothing but a stretch of watery wasteland as far as the eye could see. Salt that had seeped up from underground blanketed the place in white. Weeds grew taller than a man's head. When agriculturists were brought in to look it over, they simply shook their heads. They said the place wasn't worth spending time and money on to try to bring under cultivation. But the old commissar obstinately stuck to this place. He liked it. He brought in a dozen demobilized cadres from the army to look at it. They lived in tents and ate cold field rations. When he got to this point, we all started drooling. There wasn't a single piece of machinery back then. All they had were a dozen shovels, hoes, and axes. Step by step, they measured out several tens of thousands of mow of wasteland with their bare feet. Mow is a unit of measure. MOU. They worked out where to dig the canals, where to build buildings, and where there should be fields, where a vegetable plot, that's what he says. In the evenings, under the light of an old lamp, they did their planning. In the daytime, with wooden stakes, they marked it all out. Only after that stage were a tractor and a large group of convicts brought to the wasteland. To use the old commissar's words, it was then like 1,000 armies and 10,000 horses gathering for the battle. Now, let's see, there's my hair. Why is my hair so funny? Sorry. Am I funny looking? Oh my God. Hey. Hold on. Better here? Okay, whatever. Yeesh. The first shots were fired in the opening round of setting up the camp. This was the one and only literary phrase he ever used, and it is possible that it was a slogan created by someone else. When he said it, though, it became his own. It resonated and meant something. He never tried to deny that the first group of convicts who created the camp had died in droves. Back then, he said, hardship was real hardship. You'd see a man topple over while he was gnawing on a steamed bun. You'd touch him and find he was dead. Had he starved to death? No. Wasn't his mouth still full of bread? As long as you have a mouthful of something to eat, you don't die of starvation. So, how had the man died? He didn't say. Leaders who had some experience in the matter seldom used the enticement of good times in the future to make people work. Instead, they used the hard times of the past to drive people in. The panorama of the future was much too indistinct, whereas the pain and trauma of the past were real. They had a very concrete power of persuasion. When we had heard these stories a few times, the tribulations of our predecessors turned into a reason for us to have to endure hardship too. Knowing that the earlier convicts had been through even worse comforted us. It made us feel lucky. According to the old commissar, everyone who was just starting out, including himself, got crazy itching bumps. He said that legs would inevitably develop these blisters if they were soaked in water that was irrigating land hypersaturated in salts. You guys believe in science, don't you? Well, this is called a scientific law. Getting blisters on your legs is one of the ways to reform people. If you don't get blisters, you can't be reformed. When convicts crawled out of the water and howled on the banks from the itching, he would just watch from the edge of the canal and laugh. That's right. Great. This will reform you even faster. The exclamations that he put at the ends of sentences can't be expressed in ordinary Chinese characters. You could hear in them the kind of happy astonishment that a father had on seeing his child begin to walk. As a result, when we died from itching, and then returned to life again, we felt somewhat gratified. We intellectuals had been told by the country's senior leaders long ago, to make yourselves into new people, you must shuck off your bodies and exchange your very bones. Peeling off a layer of skin was nothing to that. For a short time, the labor reform camps instituted a policy of not rationing grain, of eating to the limit, quote end quote. This was in the few months when a slogan was circulated around the country that said, "Till fill your bellies, eat as much as you can." Okay, so I'm going to end it right here at page 35, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the fact of the existence of the labor camps in China during that time. All I know is that my granduncle, my great uncle, was sent to a labor camp for being a nationalist. He was punished as though he were somebody that wanted to go to Taiwan. Now, our family wanted to go to Taiwan, so they had to hide the fact that they had bought the tickets. And the granduncle spent 29 years in a prison camp. He said that every single day there would be somebody who would fall over. They would sit cross-legged. When they weren't working, they would sit cross-legged. And he said when you saw a man fall down, you knew he was dead. Every day. That's what apparently happened. So these labor camps were no joke. They were absolutely horrific. I think myself, they were meant to kill people. They were meant to just strain the population to the point of death so that it would be a smaller population to deal with. And I really think that that's what happened. That's my own opinion. So right now we're on page 35 of Grass Soup. I hope you have enjoyed this part. I really just try to give you some inspiration to have a great day. I want to entertain you a little bit. I hope you did not endure anything from a prison camp when I read all that. And I hope to impart a little bit of real wisdom for people to become virtuous and make this a better place to live. Okay, so have a great day. Good morning for Americans and the days of the time of day, wherever you are watching this. I hope you have a great evening or a great afternoon. Okay, so our American Congressman, old Kinderhook, was the one we said okay with. And here is Fira, black and white, to finish off the picture. Okay, so black and white is my theme for today. That's my splint. And here we are. Better than red. Red China was a horrible place. People got tortured there. My stepfather, he knew people that went back there to be spies, and they were caught and tortured. Really. And I also had a doctor. He spoke Mandarin. He was German, and his German last name was 4 syllables long. He worked for the CIA, but his cover got blown too. So he had to be sent back home to the United States, and he didn't get to go back to China, even though he wanted to be there desperately. He lived for a long, long time. He was a very nice doctor. He was a big man. Yes, a little gruff. You need what did he say? You need physical therapy. Yeah, sometimes. Okay, old Kinderhook. Bye-bye.